genre.
Welcome to the Doctor's Companion. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cass Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today we are talking about the fourth episode of Season 2, Series 15, Lucky Day, written by Pete McTee. Is that what you said, Nick? How do you say his last name? Pete McTee?
Yeah, I've never heard it said. I said Pete McTeague, but I don't know. Is there a G in there at all? That I imagine?
Yeah, but it's like a GH, which makes me think it's like silent. But I don't.
McTeague.
I don't know. I'm
right.
not sure.
Is it McTie?
McTie. It's McTie, or it's McTee, or it's McTeague, or I'm not entirely sure.
I didn't get a chance to watch Doctor Who Unleashed this week because I'm sure they say it.
So I did, and they did not say it. I kept waiting for somebody to say it, and they never said it. They even interview him, but they just threw up his name on the thing, and just and said writer, credited him as writer, but didn't say his name.
so
womp
weird.
womp.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad one of us got to watch it because I need context.
Yeah. So this is Lucky Day. Pete McTee, or however you say his name. His last story was Kerblam, which was another pretty baffling, politically charged episode, and so was Praxius. So this guy only knows how to write one kind of thing, I guess, and so
I don't remember Praxius at all.
We talked about this last week. It's the gay husbands on the beach.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Microplastics.
Yeah. But yeah, this is Lucky Day, and man, I feel like I have been unjustly hard on the rest of this season because boy, this episode fucking sucked. Woof.
Mr. Ring-a-Ding not looking so bad now, huh?
Yeah.
Mr. Ring-a-Ding, come back.
Woof. Oh man, woof. And the fact that this guy seems like he's going to come back in the finale as this season's big bad.
Yeah, the someone on the Discord, I'm going to actually look it up this time. Yeah, I believe it was Non-Binary Dog on the Discord. You know, the finale cast is called The Reality War.
Mm-hmm.
And
boo.
And, this episode had a lot to do with disinformation and what is real.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking this episode clearly teased him up to return this season. And
with
him getting out of jail and everything.
If he becomes another cyborg, like that guy in Robot Revolution.
Yeah. So yeah, our Dr. Light episode this season, which, you know what? I'm just going to say a possible controversial statement. When we have 8 episodes a season, you know what? You can shove your Dr. Light episode up your ass. We don't need it. Don't do that.
And how?
Don't do a Dr. Light episode. It's 8 episodes. You did a Dr. Light episode when we had 13 episodes.
I think all three of us really like 73 yards, but in isolation, but in context of a season,
right?
It's could that real estate have been taken up with, learn more about this guy?
Space Babies too. No, I'm just kidding.
Space Babies too. Exactly. Super Space Babies.
The Booger's Revenge.
Revenge.
It's not revenge.
Boo.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so Scott clearly not a big fan of this episode.
I am not, but I'll I was reading the Discord and seeing why other people were not fans of this episode, and I don't agree with their assessment of why this is bad. I actually think that it's bad for more metatextual reasons, and the writing is really, really bad because of like it's not making its point correctly, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll get into all of that later. But I just this was a rough watch, and I just have never wanted an episode to be over faster than this one. Once the plot twist happened, I just was like, holy shit, I don't want whatever this is. I don't. I fucking hate this guy. And yeah, the fact that like we might have to deal with him again in the future, like I just I'm like pre-exhausted already.
That's fair.
Yeah. What did you guys think? Cass, you always go first. Nick, what did you think?
I really vibe with you because I too was catching up on the Discord and reading up on this. So I admire what this episode was trying to say, or at least empathize with it. You know, politically, I do think my country, all three, the country that all three of us live in, has been a casualty of misinformation and bad faith actors destabilizing our trust in institutions, and you know, a South African dumbass that's weaseled his way into our government, hacking and slashing at it away with a literal chainsaw, because it's easy to destroy stuff, you know, and it's more difficult to like buckle down and do the work. So all of that resonated with me in theory. And I guess I admire what Pete Ty was trying to say in comparison to like Amazon is good, actually, you know,
Right.
for Blam. But yeah, I've just found this episode to be pretty dull, pretty rote, kind of 2000s in a bad way. It was nice seeing Ruby again. I really like Millie Gibson. I think she's a solid actress. I think this episode doesn't hold a half a candle to 73 yards in terms of anything. I mean, creepiness, mood, resonance. I mean, I actually found parts of 73 yards really moving as like an isolated piece of sci-fi storytelling. This kind of reminded me of RTD1 in a bad way. Really excited to talk about Unit with you guys and what the future has to come. But yeah, I roll my, this is just such he's the character of Conrad is just so boring to me and so one note. So I'm really not interested in seeing more of him in the finale. Cass, really interested to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so this was way too long. Like it felt so. It felt like the longest thing I'd watched in a while.
It just felt like it felt wheel spinny up until once the plot twist happened. You were like, well, then what the fuck were we doing this whole time? You know?
I will like, okay, so the plot twist got me in it. Like I wasn't expecting it. Like they had me in the first half, not gonna lie. I did like Nick, I think I kind of admire what the intention of this was, but I don't believe that it's not handled with nearly the amount of nuance that it needs. Or like the attention to like detail. Like we can't like just we can't just like broad swaths like paint. It's not an issue where it's like this is good and this is bad. And I think that trying to do that in a show that historically will be like this is good and this is bad, you know, for better or worse, is not, I don't think this is the right medium for this story. And yeah, like I understand. I think there's something to be said too about like the unit, like the idea of like we should have faith in our established institutions, but also like unit is like painted as this weird like shadow government agency thing, and like it's very, very muddled, and it's a weird story to come at when we already have sympathy for unit and a lot of these characters, and it's like putting yourself, I guess, in the villain's shoes. Like, why would he You know, like not saying that he's right because he sucks and I hate him, but credit to that actor. I feel like he was given a lot to do and he definitely like accomplishes it.
Prince Eric.
Prince Eric?
Yeah, in the Little Mermaid remake.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's cool.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah, he does. He does. He has. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Prince Eric.
Yeah.
Nick is silently looking this up on IMDb because he can't
I
believe
saw that
this.
movie in theaters, and I was like, the
That's
fuck?
really funny. That's really funny that you bring up a Disney movie because when he reveals himself, I'm like, oh, it's
Son
like
of a
Hans
bitch.
and Frozen.
It is Hans
Yeah.
and Frozen. It's
Yeah,
very Hans and
it's
Frozen.
totally Hans
Yeah.
and Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show enough, Scott. It's a credit to Jonah Howard King that he, much like Conrad, made me doubt my trust in you.
He's sowing discord.
He's sowing discord even now.
But yeah, no, I at the time, I think I'm mostly baffled by this. I'm not like, oh, this was great or oh, this sucked. Like it was fine and it was mostly boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. My whole issue with this is like you were saying, in a show that has notoriously been like very black and white in terms of like things are good or bad, right? We have been taught over the course of how many years, decades, UNIT are the good guys.
Yes.
Right? And so if UNIT are the good guys, then I find it odd that anyone like we should be coming at this, and I think they're assuming the creators of the show, the people that wrote this, are coming to it with the assumption that we will be coming to this being like, well, UNIT are the good guys.
Right.
But because of the world outside our window being the way that it is currently, and everything being a right-wing nightmare, I think that a lot of people are misreading this and being like, well, the right are in power, so that means that like this guy is is on the left because he's telling them that like they should not be hiding things from us the way that the government, you know what I mean? So it's like this weird thing where it's like it's not matching up with our current timeline of
Right.
things outside our windows, and so
Yes.
I think it's muddling the message in like a really bad way.
Yes.
That makes it seem like they're like, are we supposed to think he's the good guy because all he wants is them to say the truth? And it's like, no, but they've spent the whole episode talking about how he's a fucking liar and he's been a liar since a kid.
Yeah.
So much so that his mother backhands him and says, stop fucking lying, you jackass.
God, I forgot that like we see someone slap a child in this. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think in a complete vacuum, this
Yeah.
is whatever. This is like a footnote. But
Right.
like because
Right.
of our current climate and because I feel like it's supposed to be commenting on it or in
Mhm.
conversation with it, I'm just like, what are you trying to say?
Right, exactly, and
Mhm.
I think it is trying to talk about guys like him, like
Yes.
like your Alex Joneses or your whatever, all of these guys, Elon Musk, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, and I'm sure that England has their fair share of guys that you all know by name that we don't know by name because we
Mhm.
don't, you know, we have our own problems in our country, unfortunately. But you know, I think that like I understand that, but I think their thought process going into making this episode was like, and everyone will be on UNIT's side because everyone knows that UNIT is the good guys. But because UNIT is the government and government equals bad currently in the current climate, I think
Yeah.
it muddles the message to a level of like everyone is like, what the fuck are you trying to say? What the fuck are you trying to say?
Yeah.
And everyone is like really angry about this episode.
Yeah.
As a result, when
I also-
in reality, I just think it's poorly done. I think it's
Yes.
poorly executed. You know?
I think also too like the idea that like all youth movements are insidious because they are using the tools at their just like social media and stuff, and it's like all of his like cronies or whatever were like young
Right.
people, and like that's not true. Like, we need nuance for this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I crave it.
we needed an anti-Conrad in the episode or something.
Right.
Like another character that was doing the same thing, but like showing the right way to do it, you know?
And like, I guess that's Ruby, but like Ruby has her own stuff that she's dealing with too, and
she's not a public facing character.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's just not working on the same level. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like the writing just doesn't, like you said, this story doesn't belong in this show because it just doesn't work.
Obviously, like, I think we need, or we should be like talking about, like, you know, all of this, but I don't know if this is I'm kind of interested in the unit spinoff or whatever that they were like teeing at, like the whatever the Sea Devils thing is going to be.
Yeah, the war between the land and sea.
Yeah, but if it's not this, then like, why is it here? And then like, are we going to explore it ever again? Or, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I almost feel like if you were going to do something like this, if you were wanting to comment on like, you know, social media, like sowing discontent and trading lies and talking about how, you know, vaccines are actually causing autism or whatever the fuck.
The government's lying to you, man.
Yeah, the government's
you can't trust
lying
anything they say. There's no pandemic going on out there.
If you're doing that, then this needs to be a non-Earth-based story. Because as soon as it's an Earth-based story, all of our current political climate gets thrown into it. And depending on what side of that you're on, you're going to see something different in this episode. And both of those things are bad, you know?
Well, that's like, because that's what Dot and Bubble was.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And that was like way better.
This is way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, you know, on the Discord, we're seeing people have kind of a really negative reaction to the politics of this episode, where it's like me, who's been like reading newspaper stories about like, I worked for the national park for 30 years and my job was looking at one chunk of the park to make sure fires didn't break out. But now I don't have a job because some asshole's trying to save us money. And it's like, I work for the government, but I just want there not to be forest fires, you know?
Right.
And it's like, so when I'm watching this episode, I'm seeing that person, that park ranger in Unit. And so I'm sympathizing with Unit and kind of being like, oh yeah, this guy's a fucking asshole. I hate this guy.
Yeah.
But like,
right.
But like you said, like, you know, like young people holding up phones, recording the government pointing guns at them.
Yeah.
That's a very different, you know, that's very spinning a lot of plates.
That's why this is so messed up. And why, instead of it being a Unit situation, this should not have been a Dr. Light episode. And maybe if the doctor was involved and Conrad was about showing that the doctor is a liar and trying to prove that the doctor is a liar and that he's hiding stuff. That way the government just isn't part of this at all. I think then maybe this would have been executed a little bit better as a result. But because it's Unit, which is paid for by tax dollars, as this episode points out over and over again, you know, I think it just becomes like this baffling thing. And it's like how Kerblam, right, was this. You end that episode and you walk away from it being like, was that episode pro Amazon? What? When in reality, what he was probably trying to do with like the 4 weeks vacation or whatever the fuck was be like, and this is why unions are good. You know, like that's probably what he was actually trying to say, but no
terrorism
one reads it
bad,
that way.
Unions good.
Yeah, because no one reads it that way because there were no unions in the episode, you know? And so it just becomes a mess of like, well, what the fuck were you trying to say, man? And I think that's just because he's a bad writer who's interested in things that are larger than what he's capable of like writing at that level. You know what I mean? Like he can't talk about these things, even though he's clearly very interested in them. He doesn't know how to talk about them in a way that can relate to an audience. And he ends up with these episodes that are a mess as a result. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because, you know, like, even if it was like Earth-based, like the thing that I'm most and I feel like a lot of people are most interested in sci-fi is like how it, like, what is it saying about our present, you know? And like, I think that's what I'm most annoyed with is like, I don't know what he was trying to say. I don't even know if he knows what he was trying to say.
Right.
And it's like, it kind of seems like, because like Conrad was such a like mustache twirling little like twerp.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a coward and a weasel and no redeemable qualities. And Unit was like, oh, we're doing our best, but oh God, like the good guy. It's like the whitest of white capes. And so maybe that's why I found it so uninteresting. Like, so kind of like there was no twists and turns. And I'm thinking about how this is attempting to be kind of a semi-sequel sister episode to 73 Yards, which was Ruby centric, and Ruby really takes a back seat to this episode plot wise once the twist happens, to where she's mostly just like, Kate, no, Conrad, no. Like the idea of, even if kind of similar to like to bring up our favorite Star Trek movie, Scott, Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, God.
If Ruby were to find out, or like in the Avengers, where like Ruby is like Captain America, that she's like, Unit's good, and Unit would never, oh wait, shit, is Kate keeping secrets from me? Is Unit doing weird stuff that even I don't know about? Maybe Conrad's right. Who do I trust? Like, what do I believe in? I'm 20. Like, even that could maybe tune me in a little bit more than, like you said, like both of you, I was kind of just like waiting for this to be over, because it was pretty rote.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned the like Ruby being like, "No, Unit, stop, that's bad. No, Conrad, stop, that's bad." And then I just am like sitting on my couch going like, "What the fuck do you want any of them to do then? What are we doing? What is this episode about?" You know?
Yeah.
Like you don't want Unit to do anything, you don't want Conrad to do anything. So what? We're just going to do nothing? Is that what we're doing? We're just doing nothing. Great.
Right.
Great episode, guys. Really entertaining shit. It's frustrating that like that's the alternative. That's like the trap that he kind of like wrote himself into, was like both of the things they're doing are bad, but I don't know what else to do. But like, so, and then you just end the episode going like, well, I don't like that guy. He's an asshole, but like, so I guess I like what she did, but am I supposed to like what she did, letting that monster out and bite his arm off?
Yes.
But yeah, like that's the thing, right? So it's just like, it's confusing about like, because clearly Ruby doesn't like that she did that, and we're supposed to be, I assume, like we're supposed to be emphasizing with her the most, right? And so like she's Nick Ruby said, like if she had gone through a journey of some sort, at least then we could figure out what the episode's supposed to be about. But instead it's just happening to her.
Yeah.
And she's just reacting to both poorly, what both sides are doing poorly. And it's just like, well, like, I'm like, okay, so then how am I supposed to feel? And Ruby's like, you don't. You're like,
I think,
you don't feel
I was talking to Norman about this earlier, and he was like, okay, so in a 13 episode season, like imagine if this was a 2-parter. And at first I was like, I don't want that, because I don't want like a whole episode with this asshole. But like, then I guess like, would it have had more breathing room to kind of develop? Because like, I like that we, for a very brief moment, are like sitting with Ruby's like PTSD or like just the come down after traveling with the doctor, and like that's done to her personal life and her mental health and all of that stuff. And then like, but it just gets like thrown out the window in favor of this like the white guy villain, so like, and I guess there's something to be said too about like Ruby is at a point where like she doesn't know how to react to what's happening, or like doesn't know what she wants, because she's not at a point where like she's done enough healing or growing to know that. But then like it's so poorly presented, like you were saying, that like she just feels like, yeah, she like reacts instead of acts in the second half.
I wasn't thinking about this while watching the episode, but now like just like having this conversation, it makes me think about the dynamic. I don't know how many episodes this was in the original animated series, but it makes me think of the dynamic between Katara and Jet in Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Mm-hmm.
where the character Jet is introduced as like this really likable, rakish rogue, rebel kind of character that Katara develops a crush on. But then they have this fork in the road where you find out that Jet is a product of violence and stuff being taken from him, and he's reacting to that with equal violence.
Mm-hmm.
And Katara's like, I don't know if I fuck with that, man. Like, I've lost people. Like, I lost my mom. Like, I don't know. Like, my people have been pillaged, but like, I don't know if I can ride with you in this way. And Jet is ultimately seen to be it's a children's show, much like Doctor Who. And so the kids watching this are supposed to be like, okay, Katara's good, Jet's bad. But Jet remains decades later a really compelling character because although his actions are moralized in the context of the show, the character remains compelling. And I just kind of think maybe the episode Lucky Day could have used some more of that sauce where maybe you weren't like, fuck it, hey, Conrad. If you were like, oh shit, like this guy's he's doing bad stuff, but I can kind of feel why if there was something compelling about him, or if Millie Gibson's character was somehow kind of like, oh, but this happened to him, so I can't help it maybe. Oh, but then Unit's keeping me, no. If there was just some more, like I said, flavor or texture to this.
Yeah. But like, I don't think that because of like the disinformation thing, I don't think that making him sympathetic after a certain point is the right call. Or like muddying the water further,
Sure. I almost feel like the disinformation shouldn't have been something that we knew for a fact was true as audience members. Like, if it had been like, another thing, and Unit was like, yeah, no, this is true. And then him being like, no, it's not, they're lying. And then Ruby being like, well, I trust Unit, and then finding something that like maybe leads credence to Conrad's thoughts, and then being like, well, wait a minute, is it? And then they're like, no, that's Conrad. He's doing this. He's fucking with you. He's making you believe things that aren't true. Then at least like there's a story here.
Right.
But like the problem is that like he's saying that everything that Unit is doing is false. Well, we know for a fact that is not true.
Right.
And so then I'm just waiting for him to realize that this isn't true, but he never fucking backs down even when his arm is bitten off.
Right.
He's still like, no, I'm going to spread the lie that Unit isn't real. Why? What are you fucking getting out of this? Your arm was bitten off by an alien, you dumb motherfucker.
Like they turned him down at a job interview?
Yeah. Why are you still doing this? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't know that I like where this is going, where he seems to be set up as the big bad of this season. Or at least an assistant regional manager to the big bad.
It makes me think of cast one of your favorite villains in cinema, Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor. Like that episode ends with him sort of evangelized. Like that movie, he's like in jail being like, oh, fuck, aliens are real. I saw it. His name was Darkseid. He's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're fucking. It's like that would have been interesting, but he remains even in jail with his arm reattached.
Right.
He remains that like dude in that fucking debate meme.
Right.
Like,
right.
Unit's not real, convince me otherwise. And that just makes him such a noxious, uninteresting character. Even like when he was being confronted by the doctor and he was like, hey, you expect me? What is this? I'm like, dude, you just got teleported into a target. None of this is affecting you. None of this is changing the way you see any of this. And I think that's kind of why all three of us are so dreading this guy coming back at the end. Because it's like, it doesn't seem to be very dynamic at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And I think it's him not being dynamic at all is this episode's biggest problem. Because he doesn't give us anywhere to go. And so like we have like fake good guy Conrad and then son of a bitch Conrad. And that's son of a bitch liar Conrad. And that's it. Those are the two flavors.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, you know, I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do here. What are we supposed to take away from this episode ultimately? Like, what are we supposed to walk away from this knowing other than that Conrad sucks? Like, is that it? Is that what you want us to walk away with? Is like, hey,
Right.
this guy sucks. Hate this guy. He fucking sucks. I don't know. It's too bad. And I totally thought we were going to get Autons, and then we didn't. But according to the director, that was intentional. He wanted everyone to think it was going to be Autons with the
Really?
mannequins.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's
But
fun.
I don't know.
This episode also reminded me of another pet peeve that I have with this show, Doctor Who. Kind of the longer we get, is like, what? How? Because like post reveal, when it's like TikTok and Instagram Live, and people are like, "Yeah, aliens aren't even real," and it's like, wait, I can't remember what this version of London remembers, because
Mm-hmm.
New Who is like a 20-year-old property at this point, and it was a huge deal when the Doctor is like, wait, you don't remember that Daleks opened up a portal in the sky, and you don't remember, and it made me go back through series 1 even, and being like, okay, wait, would people have seen a giant Egyptian dog god? Like, at what point can people be like, fake? Like, like, are we not past this by now? Like, I don't know. So help me out with that.
I honestly don't remember.
I don't know
Okay.
either. It honestly, it feels like Russell is trying to do like a reversal on like the guy in series 1 of the show that had all of like
Clive.
Clive, like the guy that had like photos of the Ninth Doctor in like historical crowds and shit, where he's
Yeah.
he's like a conspiracy theorist about like there's this guy that's been saving us all, and it's like this weird like positive conspiracy theory. And it's like Conrad is supposed to be the reversal of that guy, and so now all this stuff is bad and fake. And so that makes me think that everybody does remember, and that's why he's able to do this, or even wants to do this, because it's like it's everywhere. It's so rampant that he's like, no, none of this is real. But then it's like, the none of it is real stuff. The government's telling us this is real, but he's saying it's not real. And I'm like, well, then what are we? And we're back to like current political climate, where it's like, if this episode had come out during like COVID, we'd be like, oh, I get it. This is like the COVID deniers, you know, like totally understand what they're trying to say with this guy. But then because of the current climate, it feels like he's he's young, and he wants to prove that like the big bad government is out to get us all, because they currently are. And so, and so it's just like, it's so confusing. It's such confusing messaging as a result.
How far ago was this like shot 2 years ago or something like that?
Yeah,
like
I think just about, yeah.
Like winter 24.
Right. Yeah, because they were filming Robot Revolution, which they filmed at the exact same time as this episode.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so like there were 2 units
23.
going simultaneously, and
okay,
this unit was shooting this while the other one was shooting Robot Revolution, and they were shooting Robot Revolution when the first special dropped.
Oh wow, okay,
yeah,
Starbeast.
Yeah.
So this was like Thanksgiving time, 2023.
Right. November 2023. Yeah.
American Thanksgiving, actually.
American Thanksgiving. Yeah, right.
Yeah, because even then, I don't know how this would have landed.
Sure. I think 2023, like AI was starting to really be like, just image generative AI and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. This episode is just really poorly done. Just across the board. And it doesn't even have to do with like, the sort of any kind of reading on it, because I don't think that you can get an accurate reading on the episode, because it defies that, like, at every turn, you
Yeah.
know. It like, it's like, you know, I look at this episode and they're like, tell me what the political leaning of this episode is, and I feel like one of the robots from Westworld, where I'm just like, it doesn't look like anything to me.
Yeah.
You know.
I will say that I really enjoyed the scene in the cafe where Ruby is like kind of explaining how this alien works, and then it like gets all moody and like
Ooh,
creepy,
yeah.
and like it shows the
Yeah.
monster or whatever. Like that was cool. Yeah, there are moments that I enjoyed about it, but like I'm not excited to rewatch this one.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the robot's name? What's the unit robot's name? Can you guys remember?
I don't, because I hate that thing.
I think my favorite bit of the episode is when the robot was like, initiate evacuation protocols, and he just gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I wish like we just got to like know more about like what unit does day to day, because I didn't really get a sense of that either, because it's like, you know, with having like she was like shipping off all of the aliens to like a underground like secret place, I guess, because if they got raided, she didn't want people to find the secrets that they were hiding from everyone, which is like all the bad aliens that they keep in their skyscraper, I guess. I don't know.
Bad alien prison.
Yeah, bad alien prison. But then that just makes them feel like they're the Men in Black or something.
Yeah.
Which also feels weird. Also, yeah, we've never gotten Men in Black in Doctor Who, which feels odd in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy that we've never gotten Men in Black in at all. That's
right,
weird.
like that concept, the phenomenon,
Yeah.
like pre-movie listeners, when there was like,
yeah,
these guys in suits that come and ask us questions. And stuff.
Right. Yeah, we've never gotten that.
No, we just got Unit.
Yeah, we have
Just
Unit. Yeah. I don't know. They point guns at the young people with their TikToks. And they're like, these guys are pointing guns at us. It's weird. It's like they're talking about how like, hey, you left-wingers who are doing this is bad because it's giving the right ideas on how to like weaponize what you guys do to protect yourselves. And now they're like weaponizing it as a lie. Or so, like, this is the problem with this episode, because you're like, what are you trying to say?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. You know, it's like how I remember like they would say like, oh, if you see a black person being arrested, like you should go and run over there and film the cops doing it to like keep them in line or whatever. And it's like, but that's like what they were doing here, but to Unit, about Unit. And then it's like, so then what are you saying? Because they're using that now for bad reasons. And so now you're saying we just shouldn't be doing that at all. You should just let the government just do whatever they want to do, I guess.
Yeah.
But we know that Unit is good. So that's the extra, that's the messy part of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, well, Unit's the good guys. It's like, we know that. But like, in the context of their world,
yeah,
they don't know that because they don't know anything about Unit. It's a mysterious government organization.
Hey, when did this take place?
Was
this 2025?
It was a year after Ruby went home.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. How many months did she say it was? Was it like 4 months? Was it like April?
I thought it was like a year.
Was it a year? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was like when the doctor had his confrontation with Conrad, he was like, you don't even know who Belinda Chandra is, do you? And the doctor was like, who? So it's like, oh, he hasn't met Belinda yet, but he knows about this. And it's like, you threatened Ruby, that blah, blah, blah. So it's like, is this does Lucky Day take place during the pocket of time that the Doctor is unable to go back to? Because this version of the Doctor was able to do that.
Right.
It definitely doesn't happen during. I don't think whatever happens has not happened yet. I think they're trying to be very clear about that. So I think it's pre-May of 2025.
Okay.
They're also like wearing coats and stuff, so it's like winter.
Yeah, because Kate says that they haven't seen the Doctor in a while, so
Okay.
it's probably in the lead up too.
Yeah, it's probably like February or March or something. I don't know. They might even say, and I just don't.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because I was too busy with the blind rage I was feeling.
Just me, a cup of coffee, and the blind rage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next week, I'll be honest, I miss Belinda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be good to see our old friend Belle again.
Yeah. No, I like her a lot, and so I was happy that we have like a normal episode. It looks like next week, spider aliens and
Nigeria.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll see what that's about. I'll be honest. It's so funny. I was like, when that episode started, the trailer for it or whatever started playing, I was like, oh, so they're doing like, I don't know why my mind immediately went to Anansi Boys, but that's immediately where my mind went.
Yeah, I was like, oh, African folktales. That's fun.
Yeah, because like
the
spiders.
spider.
Yeah,
Yep.
the spider thing. Yeah, I immediately went to Anansi Boys. So that'll be interesting to see what that's like next week. But whoa, man, this one was a whiff. This one was a whiff, unfortunately.
Do we know who wrote the next one?
We do, but I don't have it handy.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do think this supplants, if that's the right term, replaces Robot Revolution as my weakest episode of the series so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me see who writes this one. Yeah. Enua Elams.
Ooh.
So someone
New
new.
writer.
New writer.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Finally. Finally.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. But I don't think it's going to have anything to do with, I mean, maybe it will, but it seemed like it's going to be like a one-off episode. So I really thought it was going to have something to do with like the finale, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Only two more one-off episodes before the finale. Two-parter.
So, continuing our thread of each episode pairing with that episode of series 1, this pairing with 73 Yards because it was Dr. Lite, Ruby Sunday centric. The 5th episode of series 1 was the previously mentioned Dot and Bubble.
Nice.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Nice.
So, will this episode have anything to do with Dot and Bubble? Thematically, plot-wise, we'll have to see. I think all three of us really like Dot and Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess if everyone that they're trying to save in this turns out to be assholes, I guess that'll be what that is.
The giant spider was like, I'm racist too.
What was the episode after Dot and Bubble? Just out of curiosity.
Rogue.
Bless.
Okay. My beloved
yeah,
Rogue.
I'm pretty sure that's going to have more to do with Interstellar Song Contest, because that seems to be the fun one this season.
God, if he shows up. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You would hear me screaming.
I mean, it's a singing competition and he comes from Broadway, so.
Oh my God. Do not put that out in the universe. Okay.
I'm just saying it wouldn't be without reason. But anyway.
Lord.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, yikes.
Yeah. Let's keep the discussion going on Discord. I think, I'm loving the dialogue going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hate
It's one
this
of the
title too. Lucky Day.
It's so generic.
It's
I
so,
couldn't remember what it was called when I was making my file for the recording.
It's so generic, and it's so like he wears the coin around like as a necklace.
Hey,
and
why?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why? Other than hiding the twist, why would he do that?
I don't know.
It just, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Stupid.
One thing. Okay. So one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if it like will matter because we still don't know what Mrs. Flood's deal is, but there was something about her this time where I was just like, oh, she kind of reminds me of the Master right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because she was wearing gloves, if that's it, but like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that being
Or like
an option.
Her collecting people at the end of the episode was very, Missy before we knew she was Missy,
Yeah.
She also refers to herself as the governor. Yeah. Which I don't know if that was just a one-off thing or if that's like, is she a new Time Lord named the Governor for some reason?
Right.
The governor.
The governor. Yeah. And I also hope that, actually this would be pretty good though, is like, just because he is like, say what you will about Conrad, the character who sucks, he's a really good actor. Like, he's really good at playing that character.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
And so I was just thinking like, what if she gives him the master tooth and he becomes the master? He would be a pretty good master.
He would be a really good master.
He actually would be a pretty good master.
And they have a lot of chemistry.
They do.
Ooh, they did. Wow.
Yeah.
Where they were staring each other down.
Yeah. Like 2 inches apart. Yeah.
Yeah, because that tooth is out there. the tooth is out
there.
Stop. Oh my God.
Well, that's the name of this episode.
Oh my God. You're banned.
Right? Because that has to be Mrs. Flood that picked it up, right? Like, nothing else makes sense at this point. We're 2 seasons in.
Yeah.
She's the only recurring, like, female villain.
Yeah, we've never-ish
character.
Like, I think we have thought it was Maestro, but that was never like confirmed.
Right.
Right. And that ended up being kind of, like, Maestro was a one-off character, at least so far. So, like, it makes me think that was Mrs. Flood. So I think Mrs. Flood probably has the tooth. And maybe she handpicks Conrad to be the new master.
You're a little shit, aren't you?
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Because it also, like, that adds something to, like, what he says to him, where he's like, your spoilers, your future is to die in a prison cell or whatever. And what if he's talking about, like, in his mind? Because the master takes over his body.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
If this episode becomes important, I'm going to be so mad.
I know.
And then he says, I don't accept your reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's the reality war thing.
God damn it.
Yeah. He's coming back. And I don't know.
But if he comes back as the master?
That's kind of cool. Yeah. That's kind of.
Now we're talking.
That's kind of rad. I don't know. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, now he's like, the master's like, oh, this guy has a whole little fucking like weeb army at his disposal.
And then, like, the master gets to use that shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting.
Oh my God. Yeah. An army of stands.
Yeah. Right. God.
Yeah. We're cooking.
Yeah. Anyway. No, he'll probably just be Conrad. And he'll just be a little shit, and then he'll die like a fucking weasel or something. I don't know. But the tooth is out there, so love it. Anyway.
Oh my God.
All right. We'll see you next week with the story and the engine. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.